Dorcia, yes?
Yeah, can you take 2 tonight at, well, let's say 9 o'clock?
We're totally booked.
Really? That's great.
No, I said we are totally booked.
2 at 9? Perfect. See you then.
Making a restaurant reservation over the phone is still very common. It's the most common way to make a reservation, rather than using an app. Why is it more common? I think it's because, well, it's just easier. It's faster. You can pick up the phone, call the restaurant, make the reservation, and then you're done. Most of the time, when I need to make a reservation, I do it over the phone. It's actually one of the few things I still do over the phone. But then the next question is, how? English is not my first language. How can I naturally make a reservation? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to teach you the phrases, the simple phrases that you need to naturally make a restaurant reservation over the phone. If you have any questions as we go, let me know in the comments. If you enjoy the video, give it a like and subscribe. And now let's get into it. You pick up the phone. You dial the restaurant. The person at the restaurant answers. They say, "Hello, restaurant, what do you say?" Well, you should say your intention. When we make a call, usually the first thing we say is what we want to do, what we intend. And so, you'll say, "I'm calling to, I'd like to, I need to, or I want to." "I'm calling to" is, of course, just for phone calls, but you can use the other 3 phrases as well. So, you would say, after they say, "Hello, hi, I'm calling to book or make a reservation for 3. Now, let's stop right there. When you say what you want to do, don't say everything at the beginning. If you say that you want to make a reservation, and you say how many people, and you say your name, and you say the time, that's too much information at the beginning. So choose one thing, only one, and then wait for them to ask you another question. You may choose the time, you may choose the number of people. Either one is okay. So when I say, "Hi, I'm calling to make or book a reservation for 3, usually that's going to be 3 people. I could say, "I'd like to book a dinner reservation at 6:30. If you have one available. You could add the "if you have one available" or not. So there, I've used the time first. I probably shouldn't say for 3 people at 6:30 because that's too much information. So, I hope you got that. You start with your intention. I'm calling to, I'd like to, I need to, I want to. Then you say book or make, and then you say a reservation, a dinner reservation, a brunch reservation, a reservation. Then you give one piece of information. Okay? Either how many people or the time. All right. So we've got that. Now let's go on to the next piece. They will then usually ask for the other thing that you didn't say. So if you said, "I'd like to book a dinner reservation at 6:30 or for 6:30, they might then say, "How many people for the reservation?" And there, all you have to do is answer the question. There's no special language that you need. So, how many people for the reservation? 3. Or, if you started with the number of people, they might ask for the time. I'm calling to book a reservation for 3 people. And they say, "Okay, great. What time?" Then you say 6:30. So just give a very simple answer. Now, there are a few variations here. You have to pay attention to how they ask the question. It may not be as simple as how many people. It could be. Sometimes they just say how many. If they say how many, that means how many people. Sometimes they just say what time. That means what time do you want your reservation for? Okay, but they might ask it in a slightly different way, a slightly longer way. They might say, what time are you looking for? Or, when were you looking to book? Or, what time is that for? Now, maybe you don't have a very strict requirement. It doesn't have to be exactly 6:30, so it could be around 7. So that's a good way to say before or after, but sometime near 7, for example. Around 7. What time are you looking to book? Around 7. Or if you have a preferred time, you can say 6:30, ideally. Now, why would I say ideally? Because it tells them that it's not the only time I'm available. They can suggest other times if they're fully booked for 6:30. So that's very useful. 6:30, ideally. Okay, so we've stated our intention and given one piece of information, either the time or the number of people. Then they ask a question to get the other piece of information, either the time or the number of people. Now we've got that settled. Finally, they're going to ask for your name. And they might say that in a couple different ways. They might say, what name is that under? Or they might say, this is very common, can I get a name for the reservation? Some people like to give their first name, some people their last name. But I might just say, under pretty. Under, yes, under. When you walk into the restaurant and the host sees you, they may say, do you have a reservation? And you'll say, yes. And they might say, what name is it under? Or you might say, yes, it's under pretty, for example. Or under Luke, if you use your first name. Often it doesn't really matter which one you use. Now, going back to the phone call, okay? We've given the information. We've said the time, or we've said a preference about the time. We've given the number of people, right? We've answered the question about the name. Now what they'll do is confirm. So how do they confirm? They usually will do this using so. Okay, so a table for 3 at 6:30. They might say, all right, your table for 3 will be ready at 6:30. And then you just say, thank you. See you at 6:30, something like that. Something friendly like that, okay? So that's pretty simple. Now, I do want to just mention a couple of special situations. Sometimes there is no reservation available at the time you want, right? So they'll say, unfortunately, we don't have anything for 6:30. But then they'll provide another option. Would 6 be okay? Would 7 be okay? Or they might say, it looks like we're fully booked at 6:30. Could you do 6 instead? Could you do 7 instead? To that, just say what you think about that. Sure, that's fine, absolutely, right? Or, if it's not fine, say, that's a little early for us. Thanks anyway. Or, I don't think we can make it at 6. Thanks anyway. Or you could say, do you have anything later? Like 8? So there you would start again, suggesting another time. Do you have anything later? Like 8? Okay. When you say thanks anyway, it means, I guess we're done. I'll call somewhere else. When you ask if they have something later or something earlier, then you're kind of starting over to decide on the time. And then you go through the process again. So that's it. That is how you make a reservation. Again, to recap, you start by saying your intention. I'm calling to, for example. Then you say you want a reservation and you give one piece of information, either the number of people or the time. Then you wait for them to ask you for the other piece of information, either the time or the number of people, whichever one you didn't say before, and then you handle any issues that come up. For example, if there's no time available, how do you handle that? Okay, you agree on a time finally, or decide not to book a reservation today because they don't have anything available at the time that you want. But if you do go ahead, then they will confirm and you say something like great or fantastic or thank you so much, and then you're done, right? You say, all right, see you at 6:30, see you at 7, see you at 7:30. And that's the whole process. It's not more complicated than that. But if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments. If you've tried this yourself, let me know how it goes. Use this language. It's pretty simple. It's one of those things where, yes, there are apps for booking reservations, but it's often easier and faster just to make a call. That's what I usually do. So again, let me know how it goes if you try these out. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button and subscribe. Get a free course in the links in the description. And I will see you in the next one.